Your character sheet is basically useless. Seriously. All those abilities you picked, the feats that you stressed over, the subclass you theory crafted for weeks, they mean nothing here. That plus 11 to perception doesn't matter. Your spell that bypasses the lock, it's not going to work. And that 10-page backstory you wrote for your tragic hero, it's about to get crumpled up and tossed. Welcome to a style of D&D that a lot of modern players have probably never seen. We've designed a hypothetical dungeon, but we didn't use 5th edition rules. This is an old school meat grinder, a place built on a totally different philosophy, and it's a place that would likely make a party of optimized, story-focused 5e players want to just chuck their dice at the wall and quit. Alright, picture this. Your party steps into the first room. It's a perfect cube, maybe 10 feet on each side, slick with damp stone. The door slams shut behind you, boom! No other doors, no exits. In the center of the room, there's a simple stone pedestal, and on it sits a single gleaming gold coin. The rogue, thinking like a 5e player, immediately chimes in, I want to make a perception check for traps. And I'll investigate the pedestal. But the dungeon master just kind of looks at them and says, okay, so what are you looking at? How are you searching? Confused, the rogue says, I'm looking for tripwires, pressure plates. What do I roll? The DM just shakes their head. There are no rolls. Tell me exactly what your character does. Are you on your hands and knees checking the floor? Are you running your fingers along the walls? Where do you start? And this is really where it all starts to break down. The player is asking, what do I roll? And the game is asking, what do you do? That moment right there is the fundamental disconnect. You see, modern D&D, especially 5e, is built almost entirely around your character. Success and failure depend on the numbers and abilities on that sheet. Got a problem? Well, there's a skill for that, a button to push. You find traps with perception, figure out clues with investigation, and charm guards with persuasion. The player's main job is to pick the right tool from their character's tool belt and roll for it. Old school D&D is completely different. It's a game centered on the player. The most powerful thing at the table isn't your character's +5 modifier. It's your own brain. The game assumes the player is solving the puzzle, not the character. The DM gives you a situation and you have to use your own creativity and logic to figure it out. The answer just isn't on your character sheet. In our dungeon, when the DM asks how, they're not being difficult. That really is the game. They expect the player to say something like, okay, I'm going to start at the door and circle the room, running my hands along the wall to feel for any seams or loose stones. This is a style of play that runs on rulings, not the rules. The DM listens to what you describe and decides what happens. There's no DC 15 check to find a secret door. Instead, if you say you're tapping the third brick from the left in every wall sconce, the DM might just say, you hear a hollow sound behind one of them. Your success came from your specific action, not from a dice roll. For a player who's used to having a mechanic for every problem, this can feel like the game is broken. So let's get back to that room. The party, getting frustrated, decides to just grab the coin. The second the barbarian touches it, a trap springs. But it's not, a dart that deals 2d10 piercing damage. Instead, the floor vanishes and the barbarian drops into a pit that instantly starts filling with sand. There's no saving throw, none. And that brings us to the second reason a modern player might, flip the table. Brutal, unapologetic lethality. Old school dungeons aren't fair, balanced encounters. They're dangerous places that will kill you if you aren't careful, clever, and sometimes just plain lucky. In these games, death isn't a narrative beat. It's a tactical mistake. Hitting 0 hit points doesn't mean you make death saves. It means you're dead. Seriously! Time to roll up a new character. This philosophy clashes hard with the 5e approach. Today, players spend hours creating characters with these intricate backstories, personality traits, personal goals. They're the heroes of a story. In 5e, character death is supposed to be a rare, dramatic event. In an old-school dungeon, your character isn't the hero. You're a tomb robber hoping to get rich and survive. The dungeon itself is the main character. When your hero, the one with the 10-page backstory, dies because you poked a statue without thinking, it can feel like a total waste. The game isn't interested in your character's journey. It's interested in whether you, the player, were smart enough not to poke the statue. Okay, so back to the first room. Let's say the party somehow cleverly figures out how to open a secret door. They find themselves in a long, dark hallway. The player with the light cantrip says, "I light the way." The DM just smiles. Your cantrip fizzles. All magical light is suppressed here. You'll need torches. How many did you pack? And the party looks around. Nobody wrote down torches. I mean, why would they? They have dark vision or a cantrip that solves the problem. And here's rage quit moment number 3. Meticulous resource management. Old school play is a game of logistics. Every single torch matters because each one only lasts a certain amount of time. Every ration, every water skin, every arrow, it all has to be tracked. Encumbrance isn't some, optional rule. It's a core part of the strategy. This is a huge shift from many 5e games, where the stuff is often hand-waved to keep the story moving. To some, tracking every item feels like tedious bookkeeping. But in an old-school game, those aren't tedious rules. They are the game. The tension of your last torch sputtering out as you hear something skittering in the darkness ahead, that's the whole point. I mean, these are just massive differences in design and they create completely different games. So I'm really curious. Have you ever played in a game like this, a real old school dungeon crawl, where your own wits mattered more than your character sheet? Let me know in the comments below how it went. Did you love it or did you want to quit too? And speaking of dungeon design, if you're a DM who's trying to build a dungeon that feels challenging but not, unfair, I've put together a little something for you. Down in the description, you'll find a link to my free Fair Dungeon Checklist PDF. It's a great resource to help you balance that old school danger with a fun player experience. Go check it out. It's easy to frame this as old school is hard and 5e is easy, but that's really not it. They're just trying to do very different things. A 5e dungeon is, usually a series of balanced encounters designed to test the party's skill while pushing a story forward. It assumes the players will use their character's abilities to win. Success is about character growth and heroic storytelling. The system is built to make you feel like a hero, with safety nets like death saving throws to, keep the story going. An old school dungeon is an indifferent world. It's a puzzle box full of treasure and death that really doesn't care about your character's story arc. Its challenges aren't balanced for your party's level. You might run into a dragon at level 1, and the right move isn't to fight but to run. Success isn't about telling a great story. It's about outsmarting the dungeon and surviving against the odds and hauling treasure back to town. The fun comes from genuine risk and the thrill of knowing that you, the player, earn the win with your own ingenuity. Neither style is better or worse, they just appeal to different players. The rage quit really happens when those expectations just don't line up. A 5e player in an old school dungeon feels like they've been thrown into an unfair death trap with no tools. And an old school player in a modern 5e game might feel like they're on a ride with padded walls, where the risk is managed and the outcomes feel a little, too safe. So would a lot of 5e players quit our dungeon in 10 minutes? Yeah, I think so. But not because they're bad players, but because the dungeon is speaking a different language. It's a language where, describing your actions is more powerful than rolling dice. And where the real threat of a character death is what makes things exciting. It's a throwback to a style of play that values creative thinking over a perfect character sheet. And it's a good reminder that sometimes the best challenges aren't the ones your character is built to solve, but the ones you have to figure out all by yourself. And it proves that the most important thing at the table isn't what's written on paper, but really the mind of the person holding it.